in the early 7th century AD, in the Arabian Peninsula, in the region of Hijaz, at the heart of a scorching desert that had not seen much of civilization, where its nomadic inhabitants and barren land had little to stir the ambitions of conquerors. Consequently, the attention of historians, a prophet named Muhammad emerged. Although this land was situated in the cradle of civilization, the Middle East, that had witnessed the rise of many civilizations such as Sumer, Akkad, Assyria, Egypt, Babylon, Media, Persia, and the Israelites, little mention of it had been made in the writings of the historians of the civilized world of that time. Even civilizations such as the Achaemenids and the Romans, who had conquered the lands surrounding this region, had little incentive to seize it. Perhaps one of the oldest accounts that mentions this region is an ancient story in which, centuries earlier, the prophet Abraham had settled one of his sons, Ishmael, along with his mother. In this area, the religion of the Prophet of Islam, during his lifetime, and after 23 years of struggle and conflict, came to encompass the entire Arabian Peninsula. Today, approximately 1.8 billion people around the world identify as Muslims. And this religion has spread from eastern China to the Strait of Gibraltar and from the northern shores of the Black Sea to Central Africa and the Indonesian islands. Like many events that have occurred upstream in the flow of history, it is perhaps difficult to find a region in the world untouched by the impact of this occurrence if we want to present a summary of the religion of Islam that can approximately be considered a common denominator among its various sects. We should say that Muslims believe in a God who is one and only, and this God has not only created the world, but also supervises all affairs of the universe at every moment. This God created human beings as the noblest of creatures and placed them on earth, and though limited, he made them free to choose, so that it may be determined in this world whether a person chooses good or evil. Throughout history, God has chosen prophets from among humans to guide them, and a number of these prophets are mentioned in the Qur'an, while many others are not named in any known historical record. These prophets delivered God's teachings to humanity, and history is the scene of their struggle to educate mankind. The Prophet of Islam affirmed the divine origins of certain great religions of his time, such as Judaism and Christianity, but explained that these faiths had been distorted and divided over time by those who claimed to follow them, just as according to Shia belief, the faith of Islam itself was also distorted and divided after the Prophet's death. The greatest miracle of the Prophet of Islam is a book called the Qur'an, which was revealed to him by God over the 23 years of his prophethood. It was compiled from the beginning, and copies of it spread throughout the Islamic world, which soon encompassed many nations and states. Since that time until today, over 14 centuries, there has been no variation among the copies of this book, which are all written in Arabic, according to the teachings of the Qur'an. The life of the human soul transcends the body it is linked to, and this soul begins a new life after death. The only provision it carries into the next life is the deeds performed during earthly existence. Ultimately, all human beings will be gathered together on the day of judgment, and their actions will be assessed fairly and comprehensively. They will be rewarded for their good deeds and punished for their evil ones. Today, Muslims are divided into two main groups, Shia and Sunni. Shia Muslims, who make up about 1/4 of the global Muslim population, are also referred to in Islamic culture as the Imam. They believe that the interpretation of Islamic teachings and the guidance of humanity did not end with the life of the Prophet. Rather, the Prophet appointed successors after him, and the earth will never be void of such successors until the end of time. These successors guide the human community in accordance with its development and progress. From the Shia perspective, what occurred after the Prophet's death, when others assumed leadership of the Muslim community, was a deviation whose effects remain to this day. Naturally, Shia Muslims do not fully endorse the events that took place in Islamic lands after the Prophet's death. Shias refer to these successors as Imams, and believe that based on the teachings of the Abrahamic religions from Islam to Judaism and Christianity, God chose 12 Imams after the Prophet. All of these Imams are historical figures, and 11 of them are descendants of the Prophet of Islam. These Imams are respected figures across the broader Islamic community, both among Shias and Sunnis and, according to Shia belief, all but the 12th Imam were martyred throughout history by rulers who claimed to succeed the Prophet or were instigated by them. According to Shia belief, the 12th Imam went into occultation during childhood, much like Jesus, and Shia Muslims are awaiting the conditions for the reappearance of Imam Mahdi to be fulfilled. They believe that the definite promise of God, as mentioned in the Qur'an and the Bible, will be realized, and humanity will witness a golden age, the eventual righteous rule of the pure and the virtuous on earth.